The first day of the new year was always bittersweet for Daniel. For years, it had been a day of promises, resolutions, and hope for a better future. But this year, the weight of disappointment felt heavier than ever. 2024 had been a year of setbacks, failed goals, broken friendships, and lost opportunities. He had started last year full of dreams, to launch his own business, mend relationships, and grow closer to God. Yet, by December, nothing had gone as planned. On New Year's Day, Daniel stayed in bed long after the sun rose, staring at the ceiling. The sound of fireworks from the night before still echoed faintly in his mind, but they felt distant, like they belonged to someone else's joy. Finally, he whispered into the silence, "God, why does everything feel so hard? I'm trying, but it's like nothing I do is enough." He sat up, his heart heavy. Is it even worth it to keep trying? Later that afternoon, Daniel decided to clean his small apartment, a way to distract himself from his spiraling thoughts. As he sorted through a pile of old papers, he found a dusty notebook at the bottom of a drawer. He recognized it immediately. It was his prayer journal from years ago, back when his faith was stronger, and his dreams felt closer. Curious, he opened it. The first page was dated January 2nd, 2020. The words were scrawled in his younger handwriting. God, this year I want to trust you more. I want to believe that even when I can't see the road ahead, you're guiding me. Please show me how to take the next step, even if it's just a small one. Daniel paused, his throat tightening. He had completely forgotten about this journal, and yet the prayer felt eerily familiar. He flipped through the pages, reading the entries from years past. Some were filled with gratitude, others with desperate pleas for help. Each one reminded him of a version of himself that hadn't given up, no matter how hard life had been. One entry caught his eye. Faith isn't about knowing every step, but trusting the one who holds the map. Daniel closed the journal and sat in silence. He realized that somewhere along the way, he had stopped trusting. He had tried to control everything, his plans, his success, even his faith. But faith wasn't about control. It was about surrender. That evening, as the city outside his window glowed with the remnants of the holiday season, Daniel knelt beside his bed and prayed. God, I don't know how to fix everything in my life. I don't even know where to start. But I want to trust you again. Please help me take the next step, even if it's small. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling lighter. His problems hadn't disappeared, but the act of surrendering them to God had given him a sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. As he sipped his coffee, his phone buzzed. It was a text from an old friend he hadn't spoken to in years. Hey Daniel, I was thinking about you this morning. I don't know why, but I felt like I should reach out. Let me know if you want to catch up. Daniel stared at the message, his heart racing. This friend had been one of the people he had drifted away from last year, and he had often regretted not trying harder to rebuild their friendship. He hesitated for a moment, then replied, I'd love to catch up. Let me know when you're free. Over the next few weeks, Daniel began to notice small changes in his life. That coffee with his old friend turned into a conversation about new opportunities, leading him to an unexpected freelance project that reignited his passion. He started journaling again, not to track his progress, but to talk to God, to share his hopes, fears, and gratitude. Some days were still hard. There were moments of doubt, and not every problem was solved overnight. But Daniel no longer felt like he was walking alone. One evening, as he reflected on the first few days of the year, he wrote in his journal, The second step is always harder than the first. But I'm learning that as long as I keep moving, God will meet me where I am. By the time January came to an end, Daniel realized something profound. His circumstances hadn't changed drastically, but his heart had. He no longer felt the pressure to fix everything at once. Instead, he trusted that each small step, each prayer, each act of faith, was part of a bigger journey. On January 2nd, 2025, exactly 5 years after writing his first prayer in that journal, Daniel knelt by his bed once again. Thank you, God, he whispered. For the steps, for the whispers, for never leaving me, even when I forgot you were there. I'm ready for whatever comes next. And as he stood, he felt a quiet certainty that 2025 would be different. Not because everything would be perfect, but because he had faith that God would walk with him, step by step.